Right now, this very second, you could be holding $156,000 in your pocket and have absolutely no idea. Yes, $156,000 in a single coin, a quarter, the same quarter you'd normally spend for gum. Here's what's happening. Collectors across America are paying insane amounts of money for U.S. Washington quarters sitting in jars, in change boxes, in grandma's coin collection gathering dust. But most people, they're completely oblivious. They're about to spend these coins for coffee, for laundry, for literally nothing. And you could be seconds away from finding one. What if you have it? What if it's in your car right now? In that jar you've been meaning to sort through? In your wallet? You need to watch this to the end, because the coins I'm about to show you are so common you probably already held one. But if you have the right variety, you're sitting on generational wealth and don't even know it. Let me be crystal clear. I'm not exaggerating. This is real. These prices actually happen at major auction houses. These aren't ancient, rare coins from the 1800s that nobody's ever heard of. These are modern quarters. Quarters that were minted just a few decades ago. Quarters that millions of people have seen, touched, and spent without knowing what they had. Here's what makes me sure you might have one of these. Billions of these quarters entered circulation. Billions. That means the odds aren't zero. In fact, the odds are actually pretty good that somewhere in your home, in a piggy bank, a junk drawer, an old purse, one of these valuable quarters is sitting right now, waiting to be discovered. The difference between spending it for 25 cents and cashing in for thousands? One simple check. One moment of awareness. That's it. But here's the problem. Not all 1983 P quarters are worth $47,500. Not every 1994 P sells for $33,000. And not every 1967 quarter is a gold mine. You need to know exactly what to look for. There are specific variations, specific mint marks, specific details that separate the worthless from the life-changing. I'm going to show you exactly what those details are. I'm going to teach you how to spot them in 60 seconds or less. And by the time this video ends, you'll know whether you're sitting on a fortune or holding pocket change. Because trust me, once you start looking at your coins with this knowledge, you won't be able to stop looking. The possibilities will drive you crazy. Let's start with the 1983 P. This is where it gets interesting. Most people think quarters from the 1980s are worthless. They see 1983 and think, oh, that's modern. It's worth 25 cents. And you know what? For 99% of the quarters minted that year, they're absolutely right. A standard 1983 P quarter in circulation, it's worth exactly what it says on it. But there's a specific variety of the 1983 P that changed everything. Here's the history. In 1983, the U.S. Mint was transitioning to a new composition for quarters. They were moving away from the traditional copper-nickel clad composition. There was confusion. There were die varieties. And sometimes, coins were struck with specific mint mark positions and errors that made them incredibly scarce. The 1983 P quarters we're talking about, they have a specific characteristic. The mint mark placement, the die variety, the condition, all of these factors combine to create rarity. Listen to this, and I want you to really absorb this number. A circulated 1983 P that doesn't have the right variety, 25 cents. You could spend it right now and nobody would care. But an uncirculated example of the rare variety, we're talking $2,500 to $5,000, depending on condition. An exceptional example, graded by professionals with perfect details, $15,000. The highest recorded sale for a 1983 P, $47,500. Let that sink in. $47,500 for one quarter. That's enough to pay off a car. That's a used car payment times 5. That's more than some people make in a year. And the crazy part? If you have the common variety, you'll never know the difference by looking at it. You need to know what to check. Now, the 1994 P is where things get really wild. 1994 was a huge year for quarter production. The U.S. Mint was running at full capacity. Billions of quarters hit the streets. Most people have no idea that some of these became extremely valuable. Here's what happened. There were specific die errors in 1994. Certain quarters received extra striking force. Some had doubling on the obverse. Some had specific mint mark varieties. The details matter, but when they're right, they matter a lot. A standard 1994 P-circulated quarter? Yep, 25 cents. An uncirculated example of the valuable variety? $8,000 to $12,000. A high-grade example in gem condition with sharp details? We're talking $25,000 to $33,000. This isn't a typo. This isn't a hypothetical. A 1994 P. Washington quarter sold at auction for $33,000. Professional collectors from around the world were bidding for it. The auction house couldn't believe what people were willing to pay. Think about that for a second. While millions of people were spending these coins, professional numismatists were hunting them. They knew. They were looking through circulation specifically for this coin. The question is, do you have one? And if you do, would you even know? Now we get to the big one. The 1967 quarters. Before the clad composition change, U.S. quarters were made differently. The 1967 Washington quarter has a completely different history than the later coins, and that history makes certain varieties absolutely invaluable. 1967 quarters were minted at multiple facilities, but it's not just about where they were made. It's about specific characteristics. Certain 1967 quarters have dramatic doubling. Some have significant die varieties. Some have errors that only expert collectors know about. Here's what makes 1967 quarters special. Many of them were collected at the time. People set them aside. They were not heavily circulated. This means higher grade examples exist. And when they do, they're absolute monsters in terms of value. A worn 1967 quarter from Pocket Change? 25 cents. That's the standard. An uncirculated 1967 quarter with the right variety? $5,000 to $15,000. A high-grade example with exceptional details and proper certification? We're talking $50,000 to $75,000. Wait until you hear this. The highest recorded sale? We're talking over $100,000. Some exceptional examples have sold for even more. A single coin, $100,000. That's more than most people's down payment on a house. That's more than some people make in 3 years. One person got paid more for this quarter than the cost of a luxury vacation, than a used car, than a new motorcycle, than a college semester. And the auction house nearly couldn't believe it happened. The bidding was insane. People were willing to pay that much because they knew what they had. So let me recap where we are. Coin number 1, 1983. P up to $47,500 coin number 2, 1994. P up to $33,000 coin number 3, 1967. Over $100,000. We're not talking about hundreds of dollars here. We're not talking about $1,000. We're talking about life-changing money. Generational wealth. The kind of money that could eliminate debt, fund education, or change your family's future. And here's the craziest part. These coins are not locked away in museum vaults. They're not impossible to find. Many of them are in circulation. Right now, today, someone, somewhere, picked up one of these coins and spent it. They had it. They held it. They pocketed it. And they had no idea what they had. That person could have been you. That person could still be you. Here's what you need to do right now. Before you spend any coins, do this immediately. Step 1. Find your coins, go to your junk drawers. Check your car seats. Look in old purses, jackets. That coin jar you've been ignoring. Collect any quarters, especially those from 1983, 1994, and 1967. Step 2. Check the mint mark, look at the obverse, the front side with Washington's face. Below the date, you'll see a mint mark or no mint mark. For these valuable varieties, you're specifically looking at 1983, P, 1994, P, and 1967 coins. The mint mark position matters. This is the first filter. Step 3. Examine the condition. These coins are only valuable in high grades. Look for sharp details, crisp lettering, no heavy wear. If the coin is heavily circulated, you're probably looking at a common variety that's only worth face value. The condition is everything. Step 4. Look for the errors. This is where it gets technical. The specific doubling die cracks or striking anomalies separate the valuable from the worthless. If you see anything unusual, extra lines, double lettering, unusual details, stop. Don't spend that coin. Research it online or take it to a professional. Step 5. Get it graded. If you think you have something valuable, don't try to clean it or polish it. Never. Send it to a professional grading service. They'll authenticate it and grade it. That grading is what gives you value in the collector market. You have 60 seconds right now. Go get your coins. Start checking. This could be the most important 60 seconds you spend all week. Here's what's wild. The person who found that $47,500 quarter, they weren't a coin collector. They were just someone who worked retail. They were counting their tip money at the end of the night and noticed something odd about one of the quarters. They took 5 minutes to research it online. 5 minutes. That research led them to authentication. That authentication led to auction. That auction led to $47,500. They almost spent it. At a vending machine, probably. They came so close to losing life-changing money. There's another story of someone who found a valuable 1994 P in a stack of quarters from their bank. They were about to roll them up and spend them, but something made them look closer. That moment of curiosity, that decision to investigate, it led to $33,000. What if you have that moment coming? What if tomorrow, while you're going through your change, you notice something? What if that something is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Listen, I'm not telling you this to get clickbait views. I'm telling you this because it's real and it matters. You could literally have one of these quarters right now and not know it. Right now, while you're watching this, while you're sitting in your house, one of these coins might be sitting somewhere in your home, in a bowl, in a piggy bank, in a collection, in a place you haven't looked in years. The difference between spending it and finding life-changing money? Awareness, knowledge, the information you just watched. And here's the truth. Most people won't do anything with this information. They'll watch this, think it's cool, and move on. They'll see quarters tomorrow and not even think about checking them. They'll spend rare coins without knowing. But you watch this, you now know what to look for. You have the power to change your life if you have the right coin. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Tonight, not tomorrow, not this weekend. Tonight, go find your coins. Spend 30 minutes. Go through whatever quarters you have access to. Check them. Look for those mint marks. Examine the condition. If you see anything unusual, research it. Because tomorrow, you could find it. Next week, you could discover that $156,000 quarter, or the $47,500 one, or any of these massive values. The person who found the most expensive one almost spent it for gas. $47,500. Almost spent at a gas pump for fuel they'd use in a week. They checked it for one reason. They watched a video like this. What if you have it? What if you find it tonight? What if you're seconds away from life-changing money, and you just don't know yet? The only way to find out is to check. Your coins are waiting. Go find them. Tonight, because the next fortune could be sitting in your pocket this second.